There is a white powder sitting in a plastic tub on a shelf in a farmhouse outside Millersburg, Ohio. The tub has holes poked in the bottom and a bowl underneath it catching water. The water in that bowl did not come from a pipe. It came out of the air. Overnight, silently, with no electricity, no filter, no moving parts, and no monthly cost. The powder costs $3 at any hardware store in America. The branded product that does the identical thing costs between $14 and $20 at the same store, 2 feet away on the same shelf. Same compound, different label, different price. I want to show you exactly what it is, why it works, and how to build and run it yourself, step by step, while you watch this. I also want to be honest with you before this goes any further, because the title says forever, and I need to address that directly. It does not work forever without any maintenance. Nothing does. What it does is work indefinitely, meaning for years, for decades, because the compound can be fully regenerated in your kitchen oven in 40 minutes, returned to full strength, and used again. That cycle can repeat hundreds of times. The cost per use over a lifetime of regeneration rounds down to almost nothing. That is a different claim than forever, also a more useful one. A system you recharge on a Sunday afternoon is not a consumable. It is infrastructure. And that distinction is exactly what a $9 billion industry needs you to never make. The compound is called calcium chloride, chemical formula CaCl2. If you live anywhere with winter roads, you have already seen it. The white pellets spread on icy driveways every winter. Hardware stores sell 25-pound bags for ice control at $8 to $12, 30 to 50 cents per pound. DampRid, the leading branded moisture absorber in every home improvement store, is calcium chloride in a plastic housing with a fragrance added. A standard 10.5-ounce DampRid unit sells for $8 to $10. The same weight of raw calcium chloride ice melt pellets costs under 40 cents. A peer-reviewed study from the Journal of Advanced Research in Fluid Mechanics and Thermal Sciences in 2021 confirmed that calcium chloride outperforms silica gel across every dehumidification measure. The active compound in DampRid and the active compound in road salt are the same. The price difference is the brand, the housing, and the decision to keep you buying replacements instead of telling you how to regenerate what you already have. Here is what calcium chloride does at the molecular level, because understanding this separates someone who gets results from someone who gives up after 2 days. Calcium chloride is hygroscopic. It does not wait for moisture to touch it. It actively pulls water vapor out of surrounding air through electrostatic force. The calcium and chloride ions attract water molecules with a chemical affinity so strong that the compound dissolves itself in what it collects. This process is called deliquescence. The solid crystal becomes a brine puddle as it works. That puddle is not failure. That puddle is the system working. Every milliliter of liquid in the bottom container is humidity that was in your air and is no longer. A single pound of calcium chloride absorbs between 1 and 3 pounds of water before saturation. A study from University Sains Malaysia measured relative humidity dropping from 92% to 48% in a test enclosure using a calcium chloride desiccant. 92 to 48. The difference between a space where mold colonies establish and a space where they cannot. Between tools that rust in a month and tools that last a decade. Between a closet that smells wrong and a closet that does not. Now I am going to walk you through the build from the beginning. Everything you are about to see costs under $5 and takes under 15 minutes. Pause whenever you need to. Step 1. Get your materials. You need 3 things. First, calcium chloride pellets. Buy the ice melt variety, not the food grade, not the pool grade, not the pharmaceutical grade. The ice melt bag at your hardware store or farm supply. Look for 94% or higher purity on the label. Avoid blended products that mix calcium chloride with rock salt or magnesium chloride. Those work less efficiently. A 25-pound bag costs $8 to $12 and will last you years across multiple units. If you only want to test this first, buy a smaller bag. Some stores sell 8-pound bags for around $4. Second, 2 containers that nest inside each other. The inner container holds the pellets and needs holes in the bottom for brine to drip through. The outer container has no holes and catches the brine. Good combinations: a plastic coffee can inside a larger yogurt tub, a colander inside a mixing bowl, a small plastic bucket with holes drilled in it sitting inside a larger bucket, a mesh strainer inside a pot. The inner container should sit above the floor of the outer container by at least an inch so the brine does not contact the pellets from below. You can prop it up on 2 wooden chopsticks, 2 folded pieces of cardboard, or any small spacer. Third, something to make holes. A drill with a 1/4-inch bit is fastest. A hammer and a nail works fine. A heated nail works on thin plastic. You want 20 to 30 holes spread evenly across the bottom of the inner container. That is the entire materials list. Total cost if you buy the smallest available bag of calcium chloride and use containers from your recycling bin, $3 and some change. Step 2. Build the unit. Drill or punch your holes in the inner container. Space them roughly an inch apart across the full bottom surface. The holes need to be large enough for liquid to drip freely, but small enough that dry pellets do not fall through. A 1/4-inch hole is the right size for standard pellet-grade calcium chloride. If your pellets are smaller than the hole diameter, lay a single layer of cheesecloth or a paper towel across the bottom of the inner container before adding pellets. It will dissolve eventually as the pellets liquefy, and that is fine. The pellets will be largely dissolved by then anyway. Place your spacers in the outer container. Set the inner container on top of them. Check that there is at least an inch of clearance between the bottom of the inner container and the floor of the outer one. This gap is your brine reservoir. Without it, the pooling liquid recontacts the pellets and slows absorption. Fill the inner container halfway with calcium chloride pellets. Do not pack them. Leave them loose so air can move between the crystals. The absorption happens at the surface of each crystal, so surface area contact with air is what drives performance. A solid packed mass of pellets absorbs slower than a loose fill. That is the complete unit. It looks like nothing. A coffee can with holes sitting in a bowl. That is what a $9 billion industry needs you to feel embarrassed about using instead of their product. Do not be embarrassed. Place it. Step 3. Place it correctly. Placement determines performance more than any other variable. Calcium chloride does not circulate air. It passively removes moisture from the air that reaches it. This means enclosed spaces with poor ventilation are where it works best, and large open rooms with moving air are where it works least. Best placements in order of effectiveness. Inside a closed closet, especially one on an exterior wall where condensation collects. Under a bathroom sink cabinet where moisture accumulates from pipes and usage. In a basement storage area, placed on a shelf not on the floor, cold floors slow the reaction. Inside a gun safe or document safe. In the corner of a workshop or garage where tools are stored. Inside a boat cabin or RV storage compartment. In a crawlspace access area, inside a storage unit. For a standard bedroom closet, roughly 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep, 8 feet tall, one unit with half a pound of calcium chloride is the correct starting size. You will see results within 48 hours. For a bathroom cabinet under a standard sink, use a smaller unit. A 1/4 pound in a quart-sized container is sufficient. For a basement corner covering roughly 100 square feet, use 2 units placed at opposite ends of the area. Do not place the unit directly against a wall where it can tip. Do not place it where children or pets can reach the brine. Calcium chloride brine is not acutely toxic, but it is an irritant and should not be ingested or touched. Keep it on a shelf or elevated surface. If you have pets or small children, use a container with a lid and drill holes in the sides near the top instead of the bottom. The pellets sit above the holes, brine drips down through side vents into the sealed base. Step 4. Monitor it. Check your unit at 48 hours after first placement. You should see liquid beginning to collect in the outer container. In a genuinely humid space, 60% relative humidity or above, you may see significant liquid within 24 hours. In a moderately humid space at 45 to 55% relative humidity, collection will be slower, but still visible by day 3. If you see no liquid after 72 hours, one of 3 things is happening. First, the space may already be dry, which means the humidity was never high enough to drive visible collection at that temperature. Second, your holes may be too small. Check that brine can drip freely without resistance. Third, the pellets may have absorbed moisture during storage. This is rare with sealed bags but can happen with old stock. If you suspect pre-saturation, run a quick oven regeneration before first use. The single most useful tool you can add costs $8. A small digital hygrometer, a humidity meter, placed inside the closed space next to your unit gives you exact numbers before and after. Search for mini hygrometer on any retailer. The small white square ones with a digital display cost $6 to $10 and are accurate within 3%. Place one inside your closet before you install the unit. Write down the reading. Check again at 48 hours. Write it down. That comparison is your proof of performance. It is also what ends every skeptical comment, because a before and after humidity reading is a number, and numbers do not argue. Target readings to aim for. 50% relative humidity or below for stored clothing and documents. 45% or below for metal tools and electronics, 40% or below for anything you are specifically protecting from mold. A correctly sized unit in a properly enclosed space consistently hits these targets within 72 hours of placement. If your reading is not dropping, the space is exchanging air with the broader room faster than the pellets can dry it. Fix. Close the door more fully, add a draft excluder under a closet door, or seal visible gaps. The chemistry works. The enclosure has to cooperate. One additional note on temperature. Calcium chloride works faster in warm air than cold. The absorption reaction is temperature dependent. In a cold basement in January at 45 degrees Fahrenheit, absorption is noticeably slower than that same space in August at 70 degrees. This does not mean the system fails in cold conditions. It means you size up for cold spaces. Use roughly 30% more pellets in any space that stays below 55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. The outer container needs emptying when it is roughly 2/3 full. Brine that rises to contact the inner container floor slows absorption. Pour the brine down the drain. It is a salt solution, safe for standard plumbing in normal quantities. Do not pour it on plants or soil. Salt kills vegetation. Do not pour it repeatedly on bare concrete. Concentrated brine over time accelerates surface weathering. Down the sink is the right route. The inner container needs attention when the pellets are fully dissolved into liquid. At that point, you have two options. Step 5. Regenerate or replace. Option 1 is replacement. Buy fresh pellets. 30 to 50 cents for a half-pound refill. Pour the brine down the drain. Rinse both containers. Refill. Takes 5 minutes. This is still dramatically cheaper than DampRid refills. Option 2 is regeneration, and this is the step that changes everything. Pour all the brine, from both the inner and outer container, into a glass or ceramic baking dish. A standard 9x13 Pyrex dish works perfectly. Do not use metal. The salt solution is mildly corrosive to bare metal at elevated temperatures. Place the dish in your oven. Set the temperature to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Do not go higher. Above 300 degrees, calcium chloride can begin to release irritating fumes, and there is no benefit to rushing the process. At 250 degrees, the water evaporates steadily and safely. Leave the oven door cracked slightly to allow the steam to escape, rather than recondense on the oven ceiling and drip back into the dish. Leave it for 30 to 45 minutes. You will see the liquid level dropping and white crystals beginning to form around the edges of the dish as the concentration increases. When the dish is dry and you see a white crystalline crust covering the bottom, the regeneration is complete. Turn off the oven. Let the dish cool completely before handling. The residue will be hot, and calcium chloride in concentrated dry form is a skin irritant. Once cool, scrape the crystals from the dish using a plastic or wooden spatula. Do not use metal. See above. The crystals may look slightly different from the original pellets. They will be flatter, more irregular, possibly more powdery. That is fine. They are fully functional calcium chloride. Pour them back into your inner container. They are at full strength and ready for another complete absorption cycle. One full regeneration cycle from a half-pound charge typically yields 40 to 45 minutes of oven time and produces electricity cost of roughly 2 to 3 cents at average US rates. The pellets themselves cost nothing to regenerate. The dish needs a wipe down afterward. That is the entire overhead of keeping the system running indefinitely. Step 6. Scale it to your specific problem. Single closet, standard humidity, 40 to 60% relative humidity, 1 unit, half-pound of pellets, check monthly, regenerate every 6 to 10 weeks depending on season. Bathroom cabinet, high turnover humidity from showers, 1 small unit, quarter pound, check every 2 weeks, regenerate every 3 to 4 weeks in active seasons. Basement corner, 100 square feet, moderate humidity, 2 units, 3/4 pound each, placed at opposite corners, check weekly in summer months. Boat cabin or RV storage, closed for off-season. 2 to 3 units distributed through the space, 1 pound total, check at the start of each season. Gun safe, document safe, electronic storage. 1 small unit, 2 ounces of pellets, placed in a corner of the safe floor. At this scale, a single charge can last 3 to 6 months because the sealed volume is small and there is a finite amount of moisture to absorb. Workshop or garage, open plan space over 200 square feet. This is at the upper limit of passive desiccant effectiveness. Use 3 to 4 units distributed around the perimeter, particularly near exterior walls and near metal tool storage. This will not replace a machine in a humid climate, but it will meaningfully reduce the low-level ambient moisture that causes surface rust and mold on stored materials. Step 7. The advanced build for larger spaces. If your problem space is larger than a closet, a bedroom, a small workshop, a boat cabin over 150 square feet, you can significantly improve passive performance with one additional piece: a small USB-powered fan, the kind sold for desk use, available for $4 to $6. You are not making an electric dehumidifier. The fan adds no refrigerant, no coil, no compressor. All it does is move air past the calcium chloride surface instead of waiting for air to diffuse to it naturally. Moving air past the desiccant surface increases contact between water vapor and the absorbing material. The chemistry is identical. The speed of absorption is not. To build the fan-assisted version, build your 2-container unit exactly as described in Step 2. Place a small 4-inch USB fan on a stand or propped object roughly 6 inches from the unit, blowing gently across, not directly into, the top of the inner container. The airflow should skim the surface of the pellets, not blast them. A direct blast will scatter pellets if they are dry and is unnecessary for performance. Run the fan continuously or on a timer set to 15 minutes on, 45 minutes off. Either approach works. Continuous is more effective. Intermittent is fine if you are on a limited battery or solar power setup. With the fan-assisted version in a 150 to 250 square foot space, a bedroom or small workshop, you will see measurable humidity reduction on the hygrometer within 12 to 24 hours instead of 48. The absorption rate roughly doubles compared to passive placement. You will also go through pellets faster, which means more frequent regeneration cycles. In an actively humid summer space running the fan-assisted version, expect to regenerate every 2 to 3 weeks rather than every 6 to 10 weeks for the passive version in a closet. For a 250 to 400 square foot space, use 2 fan-assisted units at opposite ends of the room. This is the effective sealing of what desiccant dehumidification can handle without moving into mechanical territory. Beyond 400 square feet with active humidity sources, cooking, bathing, significant outdoor air exchange, you are outside the useful range of this system, and a mechanical unit is the right tool. One final note on safety. Calcium chloride in pellet form is a mild skin and eye irritant. Wear gloves when handling large quantities. The brine is more irritating. Do not let it contact your eyes. If it does, flush immediately with water for several minutes. Keep units away from children and pets. The brine is not acutely toxic, but causes gastrointestinal irritation if ingested. Store your bulk pellet bags sealed. Open bags absorb atmospheric moisture and clump. A sealed 5-gallon bucket is the right storage container. The Amish farmer outside Millersburg does not buy DampRid. He knows certain materials pull water from air, that brine dries back into crystals, and that the principle works exactly as it worked for his grandfather. The branded product is newer than that knowledge. The knowledge is older than the company that sells it. And it costs $3, regenerates in 40 minutes, and never requires a trip to the store. Here is what you do right now before this video ends. Go to your most humid space, the closet that smells off, the cabinet where things feel damp, the basement corner. Measure it roughly, use the sizing guide I just gave you. Go to your hardware store this week. Spend $3 on ice melt pellets. Build the unit tonight. Check it in 48 hours. Put the result in the comments.